Waiter, there is too much pepper on my paprikash, but I would proudly partake in your pecan pie.
That's pretty good.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Grande Bouffe.
The big feast.
With myself, Cole Smithey, and my co-host, Mike Lacy. As we do every week, we are here to copiously consume international politics and culture through the prism of a single film and a different craft beer each week. Good evening, Michael.
Hey, what's going on, Cole?
Well, I'm very pleased to be sitting here with some very good beer for us to drink and, you know, thinking about how things are changing in the world, the share economy.
Lay it on me.
Well, you know, because media is turned upside down, they're not really hiring. You know, I just found out that the Observer's firing everybody, and Tronc is firing everybody. I mean, it's just
big layoffs at the Kushner media corps.
Yeah, you could see that coming. So, but you know what's going on? I mean, as I'm sure you know, is that now in this country, especially, artists, musicians, designers, you know, creative people, filmmakers, screenwriters, we have to share our resources. We have to have solidarity of community.
I mean, it's kind of a flip on the you're talking about like the share economy and like people doing like Patreons and stuff like that.
Exactly.
It's an interesting flip because it's not so much, in my understanding of what works, is like, give me money so I can do this thing. It's help me do this thing that you want, you know?
Right. It's stuff that you either, you know, it's a website that you go to, or it's somebody like the designer. You know, we use the same designer for our singular and mutual projects. Mm-hmm. And so you have people who you respect and you want to support them, and they want to support you. Yeah,
I mean, like NPR has been making it work forever, public television.
Absolutely.
You know, all the more so now, just...
And they, you know, and NPR gets money from the Koch brothers, so, I mean, come on.
Right.
You know, they play it that way. They play it like, oh, we need your dollars, la, la, la. We really do need your dollars, though.
Cool. I heard you're in bed with Buffett and the... Elon Musk pays your phone bill, I heard. Is that true?
I wish Elon Musk paid my phone bill. I wish he was one of my sponsors on Patreon. I have six sponsors right now. I'm up to $65, trying to hit 25 by the end of the week.
You need that Musk money, baby.
I know. You know, he could probably do the highest reward category that I have, the $1,000 a month bracket.
And what do you get with $1,000 a month?
That's the best buddy program. Well, hold on. I'm gonna
get a big smooch.
I'm gonna give you.
From Cole.
I don't want to. You know, you always have to.
I'll keep making up rewards while you're pulling up the correct.
You have to go in reverse order. If I tell I tell the best one, then everybody's gonna go.
You're a better salesman than me. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, maybe. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I love the way the rewards work. They always work like how they give away like those knives on TV. Like, and not only do you get that, and then you get this.
Right, and you get all the previous rewards, which is true. So as you'll hear, as the rewards keep going, they you still get the old rewards too for whatever it's worth. So anyway, if you sponsor goldsmithy.com for $5 a month, you will get a special feature blog post with thanking you.
Nice.
You know, on the website. So wait a minute, hold on. No, sorry. No, that's the $10. I got to go back. I 1 second. So for $5, I salute you from my desk and I raise a glass to you at dinner.
Oh, that's such a deal.
That's $5. That's $5.
For $5?
$5 a month.
And I've seen him do it. He will do it.
Mm-hmm. So then for $10, that's when you get your name featured in a blog post. And, you know, each of the rewards categories have a name. So film noir is the $5. Independent cinema is the $10. Screwball comedy is the $20. If you send me anything, you cover the cost and I'll sign it.
Anything.
That's right. Yep. You can.
This goes out to all our serial killer listeners out there. Anything.
Uh-oh. No body parts, please.
It's just a thing with the U.S. mail. We don't judge.
Yeah, I hear. Midnight Movies is the $35 access. Yep, you get the salute, you get the name drop on the website, and I'll sign what you want, and I'll post your top 10 movies on my site, along with my thoughts on each one.
I feel like you wouldn't even do that for my top 10 movies.
Yes, I would, Mike.
Well, for $35 a month, you would.
Yeah, for you, I'd probably just do it, but you know.
Stop.
Yeah. So, all right. So for $50, that's the French New Wave. I will write a review of a movie of your choosing and credit you as the inspiration, in addition to all the previous rewards.
Oh, that's cool. Maybe it's a movie someone hasn't seen. Maybe it's a movie that they love but want your take on it.
It could even be one that I've written a review of before. I will write a fresh review of that movie.
I'm going to do that for 1 month just so I can get Toy Story 3 up in there.
Oh, yoy. So then for the $100 access, it's Italian neorealism. I will discuss a film of your choosing on the podcast.
Gasp.
Yeah, and give you a big fat shout out on the air. So, you know, we could have somebody choosing our movie. And then Cinema Verite is the $250 access. You get to be a guest co-host on the podcast.
What?
Yep. Not only will you receive all the previous awards, you will appear as a guest host on the Grande Bouffe, either in person or by telephone. And we will talk about a film of your choosing, and we'll sync up our beer choice. It's on us, so that you're drinking the same beer that we are, even if you're on the phone.
Whoa.
Yeah, how's that?
I love it.
Yeah.
I think is probably a funny hassle of doing stuff like this is the first person who gets like a lower one. You love the fans doing you a little favor. You know, give them something back to them.
Right.
You love it. When someone throws in all the big money, you give them the big prize. You love that. I bet it's signing that person's thing. I bet it's like going back down the list that you're like, oh man, oh, and I have to like do their 10 favorite movie. You know, just like the little things. Then I imagine if someone gives you $100,000, but they're like, can you take a picture with my nephew? And they're like, oh, okay.
All right. So literary adaptation is the $500 level. And for that, I will create a special video essay on a film of your choosing.
A video essay.
Plus you get all the other rewards. So you still get the podcast and all that stuff.
Wow.
But then
taking over the show, these people.
But then for the $1,000 level, that's the buddy movie.
Whoa.
So the picture on Patreon that I have is Dan Aykroyd and John Belushi from the Blues Brothers.
I would have gone with twins, but that's just me.
No, I like them. They're classy in their sunglasses and cheap black suits. This is the highest category that you can claim you are indeed a true buddy of mine. Not only do you get all the previous rewards, but I will craft a video episode dedicated to your favorite film. I'll title it and write the text. You will also be credited as the episode's producer.
Ooh. I love it.
Yeah. So, you know, that's what's going on with the Patreon stuff. So if any of our listeners, I'm sure you all already know that you can see all of our podcasts on colesmithy.com with all sorts of funny videos. Anytime we have a guest, we always take, not videos, photos. Boy, this Palate Wrecker, strong beer.
Yeah, it wrecked more than your palate already.
So anyway, so you can see all the fun photos of our guests that we have on the show, and you can also find the Patreon button in the links that'll take you right to the site where you can contribute anywhere between $5 and $1,000 per month subscription to sponsor colesmithy.com, which of course this podcast is part of.
All right, so it's a little housekeeping. Maybe let's move into, let's do a little theme song to move into the feature of the episode.
Are you musically inspired at the moment? Are you going to sing for us?
What's the Harry Connick Jr.?
If they asked me, I could write a book.
Yeah, there you go.
About the way you look, na 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 na.
Oh, are you making this up or is that in the movie?
No, that's in the movie.
It's in the movie?
Yep.
We did When Harry Met Sally.
Yay.
A crowd favorite. I think is one of our least what's the official cinematic term? Fucked up movie that we've done in a long time. And one of my favorites, though it was one of my later Nora Ephron movies that I came to. I always thought You've Got Mail would be the one that made me cry the most and feel the most. But this one's really edging it out.
This is classic. This is a classic romantic comedy, and it puts any romantic comedy that Woody Allen ever made to shame.
Oh, absolutely.
To shame.
Billy Crystal's a real guy. He's almost too much of just like a normal guy, you know.
Well, and that's so much a part of this movie is that he's the New Yorker. So you've got this culture clash between Meg Ryan, the Chicagoan, and Billy Crystal, the New Yorker, and they clash on this very fundamental issue, of which I just had a discussion, a mixed company a few weeks ago. And
just using the term mixed company, I know where you stand on this issue.
Well, yeah, I mean, and I love the way that Reiner keeps coming back to it and really clarifying it. So
through his work or through the film?
In the movie, but through Billy Crystal. Billy Crystal really explains himself very clearly about why it is that men and women cannot be friends. And it's such a great premise because women and men will always disagree on this issue. But I can tell you I'm married, and I can count the number of, quote, women friends that I have.
Yeah.
Without using my hands.
That seems sad. I completely have female friends. I think I have more close female friends than male friends.
That's good. Yeah, and you're single, Mike. If you're married,
by choice.
If you're married, if you're a married guy, Crystal's character talks about it in the movie. You can't just be hanging out. Oh, I'm gonna go hang out with Claire tonight, and then midnight. Where are you? It's not. It doesn't work that way.
I mean, I can see that. It's. I'm sure it gets complicated when you're married, but let's talk about when Harry did meet Sally. We'll get to this more like sort of backstory of the film and people that made it, but their meeting is a really great cinematic moment because real quick you get to like the quick of these people. The quick. Cut to the quick, though.
Cut to the quick. It does cut to the quick. Well, they meet on campus, and Billy Crystal is busy smooching the best friend, Meg Ryan's best friend, and so Meg has to.
I can't remember her name, but neither do the characters in the movie.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. You never see her again, and then Billy Crystal comes and gets in the car for his ride to New York because he lives in New York City, and that's where Meg's going to go to school. Yeah,
this movie takes place over. It's a big time.
So
span.
it starts with a little bit of a road trip. And also, I do want to mention the couples, the old couples, because
it's an interesting frame piece.
Yeah, it keeps coming back. Reiner and Nora Ephron designed these little tableaus with these old couples where they talk about how they met and how long they've been together. And they're so endearing.
Right.
And what I really love about this, Mike, is that it's older actors. You're seeing these older actors, and I think just about anyone who sees this movie believes it so much that they think that those are the real couples.
Yeah, I think the story was that, am I right? Do you know that those are real stories and then actors, right? It's something like that?
Right. I think Nora Ephron went around collecting stories, and then they got the actors and dressed them and shot these great sequences.
They're adorable. They're all in like the same location.
They're so authentic. It's just shocking.
And when I was going into this movie, I was kind of dreading that. I watched this with my roommate, and I said like, oh yeah, this I don't like this trope because actually with some other friends we started rewatching Sex and the City in the first season, and they do these cutaways, these like man on the street interviews of people being like, butt stuff, I would never. I mean, unless no one was looking, like all these like, and that's a terrible trope that they got rid of on that show. So I went in the movie and be like, oh, like this like not fourth wall breaking, but this like totally outside the frame of this narrative is like gonna take me out of it. No, it sets up this kind of world where you see that like, yeah, couples can't stay together forever, and the specific stories are interesting because some of those couples took 35 years to get together. Some of these couples got married, got divorced, but now they've been together for 25 years. So when I won't give away quite yet what happens at the end of the movie and whether Harry and Sally stay together. But the idea that a couple could get together at the end of a film and stay together for a long time has a foundation now with these couples. Whereas, like, you know, at the end of life, You Got Mail, it's like, okay, they like each other now. What about like 6 months later? You know?
Well, what I love about this movie is it's all about them not getting together.
Yeah.
And so years pass and they still are trying to be friends. But just as what happens in the car when his character sets it up, he invites her to sleep with him to go to a hotel
In like a half joke, but I'm not kidding kind of way.
Yeah. So it's on. He's he likes her and he lets her know, and she lets him know that she just wants to be friends. And here's the thing that for me, what this issue comes down to, it's kind of a power thing, because what happens when men and women, boys and girls get together, there's hormones regardless. That stuff is flying. And if the guy has that on his mind, I mean, what if they've done the analysis like guys think about sex every 20 seconds? It just is. It's just, well, it is. and to pretend otherwise is pure folly.
Well, here's my thing.
And here's the thing. Because let me just finish. Because, when you have the guy who very clearly wants to sleep with the girl, put yourself in the girl's position. This girl's really got the hots for you, and she lets you know. And you tell the girl, listen, I think you're cute as a button, but I just want to be friends. What does that mean? You're the cat playing with the mouse. You just want to watch her twist. You just want to watch her chew her knuckle. It's not right. It's not a good thing to do to another human being.
I don't know if I agree with the central thesis. And I mean, I guess the movie does agree with it. I almost feel like it comes around to being men and women.
It's what the whole movie is about.
Yeah, it really does hinge on that thesis that men and women, if there's attraction between them, can't be friends. I mean, I guess that also says that any gay men or women, if they're attracted to each other at all, they can't be friends. It extends, wouldn't that logic extend there?
I don't know if it extends there.
I think you can have sexual attraction to someone and be friends with them. Why does it break it if you would, on a physical level, want to sleep with somebody?
Okay, well, here's the thing. I read not too long ago, I read this biography of the punk band The Cramps, and Ivy and Lux were married for ever, I don't know, maybe 30 years or something. And it was very clear in their stage act, because Lux was a crazy guy, man. He would take off all his clothes and wear women's shoes and stuff, and there's his wife playing guitar right next to him. But Ivy said, about their marriage, that I deny him nothing. And I just think when I read that, I never denied him anything. I just think,
what does that mean?
Well, that just means that she's completely open and generous. She's not holding anything back. She never held anything back from him. And I think,
does that mean butt stuff? What does that mean?
Yes, that means butt stuff. That means anything.
They had an open marriage?
No. Just that she never denied him anything that he wanted.
I feel like that's not healthy.
Oh my God, I think that's the healthiest thing.
For him, well, not even for him, but it seems ideal for him.
Well, he was the same way with her.
Well, you didn't say they both said it.
Okay, Mike, they both said it.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love it. It's great. It seems like
they never denied each other anything. It's the same. Yeah, that's how it was. That's how it was for them. And so when I read that, I had my little A-bomb epiphany, because that's a big deal, and that just shows that there's a generosity of intention between both people, and so nobody feels like they're getting shorted.
Yeah. I mean,
and if that generosity of intention isn't there, then what up? You're not being true. You're playing the angles. You're looking for something. You're trying to leverage something.
You know what I think it's more at the heart of, the inverse of this thesis that the movie presents, that men and women, if there's attraction, can't be friends. I think the movie is actually more making the argument that just because there's attraction doesn't mean you're friends. I think what bonds Harry and Sally is they go through these breakups. One is married and one is almost married, and there's something missing from those relationships. And I think what's missing is that they're not actually deeply connected and friends with those people. And what you see Harry and Sally doing is, this is what I love about the movie is, yes, they do fall like madly, completely in love with each other. But prior to that, and I think a prerequisite of that is they become super good friends. Like there are moments that don't play as romantic.
Only because Harry is willing to keep it in his pants. And he always makes it very clear that he's consciously keeping it in his pants, but that, he's in that position.
I mean, yeah, I think there's truth in that, is that they're the kinds of people, and he makes that like very clear, is if he crosses that boundary. Well, he has this intimacy thing that I feel like is so like 80s and like typical that we don't really look at it, but like he has to like leave after having sex with a woman, It's very Seinfeldian. It's like kind of taken as like, oh, it's a thing men do, but it's kind of like, well, what the fuck is that,
1989. This movie came out on July 21st, 1989. It's
a bit more 90s-ish than it's definitely more 90s-ish than 80s in tone and dress.
Well, they really do play up that male stereotype of the guy, as soon as it's done, the deed is done. He doesn't really want to talk. He doesn't want to snuggle. He wants to get up and split.
What do you think that's about? Like, I know that thing, and I've had that feeling a few times. Like, what do you think is that about that, being as close to a person physically as you can be, and then just needing to be away from them emotionally right away?
That's I think if you're pulling at the opposites that men and women approach intimacy from, the woman is looking for the man who's going to keep her safe and provide for her. The guy is looking for a woman who will submit to him, that he can conquer. And sex is
like stereotypes of what men want and what women want.
Right. This is the motivation that men and women approach the same cause from, and they're pretty opposing, diametrically opposing motives, but those motives have been around for a long time.
I mean, I think there's something like socially reinforced in that, and I've been in circumstances, I think, on both sides of it. Like, I don't know, maybe it's like because I'm like 5'4" and like barely 100 pounds, soaking wet, that maybe I'm not getting in these romantic encounters where it's like, oh, he'll protect me, So maybe I have a more like outsider.
I think Iggy Pop's only 5'2", so you're still taller than Iggy.
All right, sick.
Yeah.
I wouldn't imagine. No, Iggy Pop could beat the shit out of someone for like anybody. That's true. I kind of want Iggy to protect me. That's what I want.
So Billy Crystal and Meg Ryan are great, and the bit that I did at the beginning is in the Met, and it's great because I read up on this scene, and Billy Crystal improv the scene. Waiter, there is too much pepper on my paprikash. And you can see, when you watch the scene, you can see Meg Ryan look over to her right, and she's looking over at Reiner to see what's going on, and he gives her the song like keep going, and then you can see she goes back and waiter.
She's not as good at it.
No, and she has to make her mouth really funny when she does it.
It's funny because it's something that's like a bit out of Sally's character and the way that she reacts, but then is so natural too. It's
it's the moment when they really come together. It's funny because it plays as a really intimate moment because he's getting her to have fun and play along, but then of course there is a little innuendo, and but I would be proud to partake of your pecan pie. Right. Anytime there's pie involved, there's a hole in the middle.
It's an interesting scene because it's the first real turn in it, and he's like, he asked her to go to a movie. And she's like, I can't. And he's like, well, you got a hot date tonight? And she's like, yeah.
Yeah.
And then he's like, why wouldn't you want to tell me that? And she says, like, because we were hanging out so much. Yeah. And it's just one of those, man, like, I don't know, I've been in that situation so much where it's ambiguous in what context you're hanging out, and then it's just like playing chicken of who's going to acknowledge, like, I mean, like, what were you thinking was happening? You know?
Yeah.
And I was trying to like explain this to my roommate when we were watching it, but there's some way in which her not wanting to admit that she had a date showed that she thought it was even a bigger deal and was more special.
Yeah, well, she was
because if it's like if you were on a date with a guy and you had a date with another guy, you might be like, yeah, I have another date tonight.
See, this is the thing. She was trying to instigate a response from him, and the response that when she didn't get that response, she was very unhappy.
Right.
And this is the kind of stuff that people do. And I love the other scene when they're sitting together and they're talking. This is a little later in the movie, and they've both been on dates. And Billy Crystal's talking about how, it just wasn't working out. And she says, I guess it's just too soon for either one of us to go sleep with somebody else. And he says, oh, I slept with her.
Yeah. Yeah, in his story, he's like so put off by something she does that he like walks out of the restaurant.
He's such a great New Yorker. You know, you've seen Woody Allen, you've seen Jerry Seinfeld, but have you seen Billy Crystal? His New York romantic, anti-romantic shtick is just so good.
This movie made me think about just like the Meg Ryan verse, which is like, what's wrong with Meg Ryan? Why can no one just date her? You know, you gotta like not be able to sleep in Seattle, or you gotta be like fucking up your email. Just no one will just date this woman. You want to know something crazy about Meg Ryan?
Tell me.
How tall do you think Meg Ryan is?
Meg Ryan is 5'6".
Meg Ryan's 5'8".
Oh.
Yeah, she's taller than Billy Crystal. She's like a deceptively tall person.
And she has big hair in this movie. So she's probably pushing 5'10" and a half, I'm guessing.
5'10" and a half, definitely. Yeah, she dwarfs him a little bit. It's interesting. I don't know, for some reason it's like she's such a like image of Hollywood petiteness, but then knowing that, watching this, there's definitely a Diane Keaton-ness to her in this movie, and like her clothes are never quite as Annie Hallish as Keaton's are in that.
Yeah, she's much more feminine.
She's much more feminine, yearbook editory, you know, like she's but there is I'm going to say the word je ne sais quoi, like I can't just find a word, but it's mostly just like I can't find a word.
Well, she ruled the roost for romantic comedies for a long time.
She's crushing it.
She's been doing a lot of TV lately, but she's a terrific actress, and the chemistry in this movie, we all know about the faked orgasm scene. We've all seen it a million times, and it is just so ballsy. What she does on camera in the middle of Cass's Deli, and they improv that. They came up with this idea, you know, because they needed more out of the female character. They were having too much Billy Crystal, and they needed more of Meg Ryan. So they came up with this idea that women thought were funny, and men, of course, did not laugh. But it was Crystal who wrote. I think it was Rob Reiner's mom who's sitting.
Oh, is that?
Who says, you know, I have what she's having. And that
Ethel Reiner, I'm guessing is her name. I think it might be.
I hope I'm right about this. But anyway, Crystal, for sure, wrote that. That was his punchline.
And didn't you think it's like, this is a thing that Reiner has said in an interview I've seen, is that
Reiner and Crystal were best friends when they were making this. Yeah.
It's fairly out of character for Sally. Like, it's the perfect moment. It's really hilarious. But like even Reiner said that it's like it would really be a stretch to imagine Sally, who is just like type A, super organized and overly reserved, and like her whole thing is that she's kind of a robot, and that she goes through these breakups and she doesn't really feel it. Although she's, you know, clearly going through something, she doesn't express her emotions, where Harry is like really large with his emotions. So the idea of her like causing such a scene is hard to imagine, but it's also the magic of this. This isn't quite reality. It's very close to reality. It's very real, but there are moments that are just a little over the top.
It's such a love letter to New York. New York looks great in this movie. Harry Connick, Harry Connick was just sailing really high at this point that they brought him in. So he's got the full orchestra behind him. So he's singing songs, and then they're using songs from Ethel Merman and stuff. So the music is great. And then, that scene in the Met is in autumn. So there's all the great, leaves changing color in the background. And it just puts to shame any Woody Allen, because people, I think, always think of romantic comedy in New York City. They equate with Woody Allen, but this movie is just heads and shoulders above Annie Hall or Manhattan.
Well, we'd be real remiss in not mentioning the great and late Carrie Fisher.
Oh my goodness! Oh, she is incredible.
She's amazing.
Oh my God, she's so believable. It's giving me chills. Unfortunately, I don't guess this movie passes the Bechdel test.
I don't,
because the women are talking about guys whenever they're around. But I tell you, that's a great scene at the boathouse with Carrie Fisher. Carrie Fisher has a couple of really good scenes.
Carrie Fisher is the best friend who only wants what's bad for her, which is usually married guys. And they set up a double date. She's going with Harry. Sally's going with Bruno Kirby, who's Harry's
hilarious.
Best friend,
who was also in To Live and Die in L.A. Great actor, great character actor.
Well, let's not forget Godfather 2 and City Slickers. And City Slickers 2. City Slickers 2, the best sequel of all time.
So Reiner was going through a divorce with Penny Marshall.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that was what was going on when he was.
I thought she was married to Gary Marshall.
When he was writing this when he was writing this movie. So he was drawing on a lot of that stuff, and the scene where the two couples are in their separate beds, but the men are talking on the phone. That was really how Crystal and Reiner went to sleep every night. They would just chat on the phone.
I love it. This movie does have those great split screen scenes, which are some of the way better than Bye Bye Birdie or any of that stuff. And those seem really hard to do pre-digital, like to plan that out with these different scenes where you have Harry calling, Harry calling Bruno and Sally calling Carrie.
It really shows the incredible screenwriting in hand. The comedy writing is just so spot on. The timing is just great.
There is not a single line that Nora Ephron doesn't kill it in.
Yeah.
Every little story that someone tells, these little anecdotes that in a movie you get the impression that a screenwriter is just kind of like, oh, what's a realistic thing? Everything Nora Ephron puts to paper is just touched with this beautiful sincerity,
angel dust,
specificity, and universalness at the same time.
All that stuff. Well, I'm glad that we came around to this movie, because I think it's easy to take this film for granted. I think people just think, oh, Harry Met Sally, yeah. But the fact of the matter is, this is one of the finest romantic comedies of the modern age, for sure. And it holds up today. It's just as topical today as it was in '89.
I have to say, it's also, I really like its portrayal of two people becoming very good friends, because it's weird, because at the beginning, it's like, yeah, I don't think you can be like friends and have that sexual intensity if there's not something else like holding you together.
But to be friends with a woman, and she's having sex with other guys, and she knows that you're having sex with other girls, it's weird, man. It's weird. It's not comfortable. It doesn't make you feel good about yourself. It's that you're driving each other crazy part of it that I find.
Well, here's the thing. I think men and women can be friends.
Just get the business out of the way, and then you can talk about it. But if you got it hanging over your head like the sword of Damocles, it overpressurizes every situation that you're in.
Here's why they couldn't just be friends. Is because they love the fuck out of each other.
Well,
that's the real problem. Is they're perfect for each other. And from the beginning, and it's very movie-ish, is like, he's a little too open about his feelings. She won't let anyone in. Well, I love the culture bit part of it, where he's just such a New Yorker through and through. Everything that he does and says, is from that real New Yorker perspective. He's got opinions about the Knicks and
got the Yankee hat. He's a Yankees fan.
Yeah, and she I know they went to school in Chicago. I don't know if she's from. She definitely seems less more provincial. Obviously, like she seems like she came from like a Christian background.
It's
like,
the kind of clash that you would have with anyone who wasn't a New Yorker coming to New York and dating a New Yorker. Have you dated a New Yorker, Mike?
A proper New Yorker?
Uh-huh.
I've been on dates with proper New Yorkers, yeah, and they're a different breed entirely.
Yeah.
Different views on like everything.
Very
different
different.
vibe.
Yeah.
These people these people seem like they dated a lot. Like they refer to so many romantic relationships. It is very like Seinfeld like. I think it's a bit of a precursor of it. Totally, because that show is founded on a couple that used to date that are best friends. Like I think that I'm sure this came up in the pitch meeting for Seinfeld.
No question. No question. And the karaoke scene in this thing,
which predates the word karaoke.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
It's crazy.
He said it's a singing machine. Like he had to explain it to the audience.
It wasn't even a karaoke machine. It was a singing machine. And what is it with the Surrey?
Oklahoma.
Yeah, it's from Oklahoma, and it's great.
Surrey with the fringe on top.
That's right, Surrey with the fringe on top, and it sets up one of the most suspenseful segues because they're having a great time. And Crystal's just laying it down Broadway style.
Yeah,
I mean, he's got it coming in spades.
This makes it's like what kind of guy?
And then he sees his ex-wife.
What kind of guy is he? Because he's like on one hand, like he's like all he brings home from law school is like a bag of old laundry and a baseball bat. Like he's just a man, you know?
No. I think he was visiting Chicago. He wasn't going to school there. I think he was just visiting.
Even the kid, like it's all the more so. It's like he just travels with a baseball bat and a bag of laundry.
Yeah, he went to have some fun.
He's a man's man, but also like he knows.
Well, he's a New Yorker. You know, he's going to play some ball, man.
All right, but he also like knows all the words to Oklahoma. Like he's a very well-rounded.
New Yorker. That's what New Yorkers are.
I guess so. You know, like there is a sort of like showmanship and like he's a well-rounded person. He's not like Bruno Kirby.
Yeah.
Who, though he's a writer, though he's an intellectual, I guess, is like kind of like a penis with glasses on in this movie. You know, and Carrie Fisher's like, that's all I've ever wanted.
Oh, I love the scene when Carrie Fisher sneaks out when they meet at the bookstore, and then Carrie Fisher's character is sneaking down the stairs, and there's just something really funny about the way she's walking. She's sneaking down the stairs. It's great.
It's what a great friend does.
Yeah.
It's like, you're single. This guy's hitting on you. You seem like you don't want it. I'm dipping the fuck out and leaving you in this situation.
There's a lot of proper New York etiquette in this movie. If you're not from New York, you don't know. You'll see it. Just look for it. It's all over this movie, and it makes every interaction that they have just that much more spectacular.
You remind me of like a sequence I like, which is a montage of Harry talking to Bruno Kirby, whose name is Jess, I think. He's talking to Jess like about his relationship, and they cut like from them speed walking. Great little quick like homage to speed walking, and then it's another day and it's raining and they're eating hot dogs and somewhere else, and he's having like the same conversation on like 5 different days, 10 different days, and it's like, yes, that's exactly what happens when your friend finally like sleeps with the person they want to sleep with, and it's like complicated. It's just, you're just Bruno Kirby like checking your watch, like are you done? Do you need more? Okay, no, I'm your friend. I'm here. But like, we've been doing this since like, we were like speed walking like last week. Like this has been a while of this.
All right. So if you haven't seen When Harry Met Sally, or if you haven't seen it in a long time, it's streaming on Amazon for $3.99.
Yeah, that's where I watched it. Amazon $3.99. It really holds up.
How we watched it.
It's a great movie because it holds up, and it's also a great like time capsule of the different decades that it takes place in.
So we didn't really talk about the beer, so I'm just going to give a big shout out to Green Flash. If you don't know what a Green Flash is,
we've talked about it.
We've talked about it. That's when you're looking at a hard horizon, let's say in Pismo Beach, for example. And when the sun goes down, right when the sun disappears below the horizon, you see this green flash. And I've only seen it once, and yes, I saw it in Pismo Beach, where I go on vacation at least once a year, but I have not seen it since. So we have just quaffed very enjoyably this wonderful 9.5% palate wrecker. So, yeah, it will not only wreck your palate because it's so good, you can't
It'll
drink.
wreck your liver.
You can't drink anything else after it. Well, maybe a few brain cells is the real story.
But palate wrecker.
I'm just gonna read what Green Flash has to say about the palate wrecker, because they call it our heavy hitter, weighing in at 6 pounds of hops per barrel. Palate wrecker stands up to the hoppiest heavyweight in the ring, a complex double brewing process of mashing and sparging with hopped wort, and special hop layering techniques, and during a hop crisis defined this champion. Okay, I'm too drunk to read this anymore.
You're gone, man.
But I would like to thank all of our listeners, and I would like to encourage you to please tell all of your friends, like us on SoundCloud, follow us on SoundCloud.
Check us on iTunes. Leave us a review. That helps everybody.
Please send us a review. We need reviews. And if you'd like to spend maybe $5, $10, $25 a month to help keep this wonderful podcast alive, please go to colesmithy.com and go to the Patreon link where you will see a friendly little video where I talk a little bit about the share economy, and you can get some fun rewards. You could even be on Le Grande Bouffe. Thank you all for listening. Remember to please turn your cell phones off when you're walking, driving, riding a bicycle, or watching a movie.